Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Time's now 7 o'clock, and before we start the regularly scheduled council meeting between the mayor, with the mayor and city council of Havre de Grace, we do have a public hearing on tonight's docket that precedes the council meeting. It's going to be on ordinance 1099 concerning amending section 205 of the city code. And before I call on the audience at large, if anyone's here to speak tonight on ordinance 1099, Madam Secretary, could you please read the header into the record?
An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11-E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter to amend sections of City Code 205 zoning.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. So, ordinance 1099, I don't have any pre-filled out forms for speakers on this public hearing, so I will call on the audience at large. Is anybody here this evening to speak on ordinance 1099? Okay, any comments from the council members on 1099? Very well. Without any comments from the council, without any comments from the citizens, the public hearing on ordinance 1099 concerning amending sections of City Code 205, I call that public hearing closed, and I anticipate a second reading on that ordinance probably at the next council meeting. Okay. Good evening, and welcome to the Havre de Grace City Council meeting. Date is March 20th, 2023. The time is now 7:02 p.m. I'll call the roll of the council. Council President Ringsacker.
Here.
Councilmember Robertson. Councilmember Zinner.
Here.
Councilmember Boyer.
Here.
Councilmember Shenagus.
Here.
And Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Very well. Could I please ask everyone to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and the opening prayer? Don't spill coffee on my book. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could kindly ask everybody to remain standing just for a few more moments, as it gives me great pleasure to call forward Reverend Lynn Humphreys Russ of Hopewell United Methodist Church. Thank you for being here with us this evening. Always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you for having me. If you could all please bow your heads. Thank you, wise and merciful God, for these civil servants before us tonight. Thank you for their hard work and sacrifice. May you continually bless them and generously give to each of them wise and discerning hearts to skillfully govern the people of our city. Give the mayor, city leaders, staff, city council all deep and discerning wisdom so that they may solve problems, distinguish between right and wrong, and bring order, stability, and prosperity to our community. Give them enlightened hearts and minds to make sound, fair, and right decisions for all the people in our city. Loving God, we pray to you by many names throughout our city. Tonight, I pray to you in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Item number 5 on this evening's agenda is going to be the approval of the minutes. We have item A, City Council meeting minutes, March 6, 2023. Council, I have a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Zinner, seconded by Councilmember Shenagus. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council meeting minutes of March 6, 2023 are approved by Council 5-0 in the affirmative. Item B, City Council Public Works Session minutes from March 15th, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by the Council President. Questions or comments?
I won't be voting to approve. I wasn't present.
Duly noted. Thank you very much, Councilmember Zenner. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council meeting minutes of the public work session minutes of March 15, 2023 carry 4-0 in the affirmative. We're now going to go to item 6, which is comments from citizens. This is the part of this evening's agenda. If you're here because you wish to speak on an agenda item, now's the time to do so. Or if you're here to speak on any other matter of city business, now's the time to do so as well. Normally what I'll do is if a citizen pre-filled out a form, whether online or at the door and handed it in, I will call on the forms first. And when I'm done with the forms, any citizen can speak. Just raise your hand and be recognized. So I will start with Kurt Doan. Good evening, sir. Welcome. It's good to see you again. Can we please have your name and address for the record?
Yes, Kurt Doan, 453 Majestic Print Circle in Havre de Grace.
Welcome.
Thank you, and I appreciate you letting me speak. I'm here tonight because our festival, Upper Chesapeake Bay Pride Festival, is on the agenda. We're seeking approval to host it again in Havre de Grace for the 5th year in a row on October 7th, 2023. And of course, one of those was not in person due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We love this festival and we love being able to do it in Havre de Grace. It's a great opportunity to celebrate the diversity of Hartford and Cecil counties, but also, in our opinion, a great opportunity to showcase all the wonderful things that Havre de Grace has to offer. And I just wanted to make myself available for questions if anybody had comments or concerns or any questions that I could answer on behalf of the board.
Excellent. Any council, any questions now, or we good? You have a question?
I just have a quick question. So I know in our packet, in regards to the festival, it talks about police presence and that there'll be 8 officers. In the past experience, the last year, was there a need for all 8 officers, or it's a safety issue,
Yeah.
Absolutely, but I just wanted to go over and see if there's any real need for additional support or not.
I was talking to Joe about this beforehand, and I don't know if we had more or less police presence last year.
We actually had less.
Okay. I was more aware of the police presence this year. I think that the climate and the environment has shifted a little bit, and it does feel a little more unsafe, not specifically in Havre de Grace, but in the rural parts of Maryland for LGBTQ folks. I was appreciative of the fact that you had a bomb-sniffing dog come out and patrol the area, and I felt more comfortable having a police presence there. We were expecting protesters last year, and I expect them this year. We didn't have any last year, but whatever police presence we could have is very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, just sort of late this afternoon, there is, we had some discussions on the mapping that's in your packet, and when we get to that event application, I'll be passing around a new map. There's a couple minor changes, primarily to the food trucks. So we'll pass that around at that time.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatori. Okay. Kurt, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to call up Mr. Joseph Smith. Good evening, Mr. Smith, and welcome. May we please have your name and address?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Joseph Smith, 110 Flying Ebony Place, right here in Havre de Grace, Maryland.
Welcome.
Great to be here, back in the chamber again, as always. So I'm here to speak on 2 items on the agenda. One of them is regarding an application that my husband and I submitted on behalf of the Havre de Grace Arts Collective and Glyph Design Studio, and that's for the Chesapeake Printers Fair, which we are requesting street closure on May 20th. This is a exact same setup as the Pyrex Festival that Jolene at Joe Retro, Jolene Forrester, has run successfully for several years now. This is really our 3rd festival that we're planning now. The first one we did in a parking lot on a location that we were at a couple of years ago, And then the second one we did at Hutchins Park, and we're now requesting to bring it into the center part of the town, just to really bring more traffic in. And we've got support from the local businesses that are on those 2 blocks. And if you talk to any of the downtown merchants, they'll tell you that Jolene's, the Pyrex Festival from Joe Retro, has always been a successful event, not only for her, but also for other businesses. It draws a lot of people who are in town to shop. And we hope that this event also will be the same. The Printers Fair is basically, we're bringing printers in and paper makers and paper artists from the region, from Pennsylvania, Virginia, DC, Maryland, Delaware. When we go to similar events like are held in Lancaster, PA, they come to us and said, when are you going to have the Printers Fair again? We love Havre de Grace. You know, they absolutely want to be here. They love the town, and they had a good time. So we're very much looking for your support on this application, and I'm, of course, here to answer any questions about our application. And then the second event is I just wanted to really throw our support behind the Upper Bay, or Upper Chesapeake Bay Pride Festival. Last year, Glyph Design Studio was a sponsor. Don and I participated in the first one. I think we were kind of like a grand marshal the first one, and I remember mayor and council were there on stage, and it was quite a moving event for all of us. So heartily endorse this event. It showcases all the good things about Havre de Grace and the community and the support the community provides to a very diverse audience. So again, encourage you to support this event. So any questions about the Printers Fair?
Council, any questions? Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to call forward Ms. Carrie Parsons. Good evening, Ms. Parsons. Welcome. May please have your name and address, but also I noticed you filled out 2 forms for 2 different topics, but you can just go ahead and talk about both of them.
Thank you,
I'm
I
not gonna call you back
appreciate you.
twice,
Oh,
so it's okay.
darn. Okay. Carrie Parsons, 840 Otsego Street here in Havre de Grace. Actually, it's
Welcome.
3 items, just really quick. Tim, that was a phenomenal presentation. I wanted to get up and say thank you for that. It actually did lay out the timeline. I think it made, it provided a sense of where the city was prior to, where you were trying to go, and what you were trying to accomplish. And all of that was during the public works session. If you did not read to the citizens of Havre de Grace, if you did not read the agenda and all of the notes, I highly recommend it. It did lay out a nice time frame for Code 147, along with all of the recommended changes that I think is really going to benefit our entire town. With that, I also would like to speak upon the resolution to approve the transfer of the property. That also goes along with the surplus. I can't wait. Having new neighbors coming on in. It brings, transferring the property to Habitat to Humanity brings home ownership. And with it, it brings pride to a neighborhood, pride to new homeowners. It reduces the blight, and it improves all of the community relationship in that area. By doing this, we're actually taking a step in a positive direction by reducing the rental in our town and trying to get people into true home ownership. I'm looking forward to seeing new neighbors in our area. I'm hoping that, Mr. Tim, you'll be able to continue on along with the council regarding the further of rental property for the long term. And then just on a note with the Upper Chesapeake Pride festival. If you don't know individuals that are having a very difficult time because of their gender, because of their identity, this is a way for them to be able to come out and talk to others. And it's a positive movement. I was telling the gentleman in the back that it truly is a time where not only when you have young people, you have older individuals, you have people who have already transitioned, or they're gay, or they're lesbian. It's not only coming out and bonding and knowing other individuals, but it's also a mental health thing. They're able to get reassurance of who they are and acceptance. And I truly hope that the city council allows them to continue on with this tradition, because it is a good benefit for all. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Parsons. My last pre-filled out form for speaking this evening is go to Mr. Kirk Smith. Good evening, Mr. Smith.
Good evening, Mayor.
Welcome.
Kirk Smith, 840 Otsego Street, Havre de Grace, Maryland, voting member.
Welcome.
Thank you, all my elected officials. Welcome to spring. The equinox was upon us at 1740 today. A blessed Ostara to the staff, the chief especially, mayor, and all of our elected council. It's all of my rancher friends and from Third Wave Farms to Flying Fly Farms are talking about how their calves are being born, piglets, kids, lambs, foals, and it is good to see the trees budding, isn't it? You can almost feel that the earth is coming alive. And that's what Ostara is about, a return to balance. This city is great on balance. Supporting UCB Pride Festival is good for balance. However, somebody brought up that maybe 8 officers was too much. I monitor a couple of different groups that are in Hartford and Cecil County, and they have a very negative view of this and other events that happen at the State Theater, at the American Legion, and what's generally happening to the morality of Havre de Grace, putting us in the likes of Sodom and Gomorrah. It is not a pleasant read through all of their chatter, but I do it and I monitor what's going on. There is a threat to this event that is being postulated on a couple of these groups. No one's being specific, but they are talking about it. They did want to know how they could address the city, and I did share that with them, because if you don't communicate, they're not going to listen, or they're not going to be forthcoming. So I would encourage the chief to carry on with what she's doing. She's got a plan, and I think she should stick to it. And I'd appreciate the council back that plan up. I've been in security and other things for the majority of my career, and I would appreciate it. I like what the city's doing. I intend on dying and being a tree here, so I would like to stay inclusive. I had a big poem written up about Ostara, a few stanzas, but I'll pretty much leave that alone. Stay balanced, stay informed, and Chief, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll share some of what's going on out there in cyber world. Thank you so much. Again, great job. I just love it. And if you guys see Vulcan, shake their hands for us. They gave us a new fence up at the community gardens, and we're planning on taking them a bunch of soups to their lunchroom, but wouldn't hurt, city staff to go, nice job, because that fence was falling apart, and I was getting tired of repairing it. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. That concludes my forms that were pre-filled out by speakers. Now we'll call on the audience at large. Does anybody wish to speak on an agenda item or any other matter of city business? Yes, ma'am. Welcome back.
I have thought I had filled out a form. I'm sorry, I didn't.
No
realize
worries.
I hadn't. And you're going to get tired of hearing from me, aren't you? I am here to talk about the application that we have from the Susquehanna Ministerium for Blessing by the Bay. I hope you all got your flyers. The Susquehanna Ministerium is a really wonderful organization. It's a partnership of so many different religions, different denominations, different kinds of faiths, as well as governmental and medical organizations. And it's a true partnership that we have here in Havre de Grace. We do a lot of informational kind of meetings. We do a lot of hands-on things with the community. This particular event is truly blessing the Bay in many different ways. You know, we're the nexus of organizations that the ministerium is reflective of the nexus of the Bay itself with the river, with the Susquehanna River. We will be doing this at the Concord Point Lighthouse, as we did last year. This will be on May 7th again this year, or this year. And we have submitted all the paperwork for it. I hope you all have that, the map and any of the other information. We have a lot of organizations that are coming to do the blessings as well as the musical and spoken word offerings. And we would ask you, from all of you, to please come and be a part of this, because this is a blessing of all that we do here in the Bay, not just in the religious organizations, but the government and the different entertainment that we do, the tourist things, the businesses. We bless all of that. So please come and be a part of it. And if you have any questions at all, make sure you ask Gene. He'll know all the answers. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir?
Well, if I got all the answers, I guess I better speak.
We're waiting for you to come up so we can now ask questions.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Do I need to tell you all this stuff of who I am and all that kind of stuff?
Just state your name, that'd be good for the record.
Okay. My name is Reverend Gene Proud, and I'm coming as the president of Susquehanna Ministerium. And I have a personal invitation to each and every one of you. Please come so that we can bless you individually. This is something that we really desire to do. So that's really why I'm here, to extend an individual invitation to each one of you. We really do want to see you. We really do want to bless you. We really do want to have good things come on you. That is really what we're thinking. I know that that doesn't sound logical or anything, but that really is the way I think about it anyway. Now, if you do have any questions about the thing, allegedly I know what I'm doing. So, if there are any questions about the Blessing by the Bay or about the invitation or any of that, fire away.
Council, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for speaking. We'll see you there.
You gonna bring your motorcycle this time?
I think we should. It's been a couple of years since it's been blessed.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, so,
Please.
I know. I have my little gremlin bell on the bottom of it, pulling extra duty for me. It'll be there. Thank you. Who else in the audience wishes to speak? Okay. Council, any comments before we move on? All right. We're going to go to item 7, appointments. This evening, we have one appointment to a commission. It's going to be the Marina Commission. And I'm going to hand that off to the council liaison to the Marina Commission. It's going to be Councilmember Shenegis.
Good evening, council, audience. I move to appoint Jamie Bennett to the Marina Commission.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Shenega, second by Councilmember Martin. This is for the appointment of Mr. Jamie Bennett to the Marina Commission. Questions or comments on Mr. Bennett? Councilmember Martin.
It's going to be nice to see. It's going to be nice to see Mr. Bennett being more and more involved in the community. He's been taking a more active role and volunteering more and more, and this is going to be very nice to get him more deeply involved in the community of Havre de Grace.
Any other questions or comments?
I would like to say that I thank Jamie for his involvement with Havre de Grace City through as a vice president as a branch manager from Hartford Bank. I appreciate his involvement in the community and coming out to our events, and I look forward to having him serve on the Marina Commission.
Thank you very much. Council, for the vote on Mr. Jamie Bennett to Marina Commission, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The appointment of Jamie Bennett to the Marina Commission carries 5-0 in the affirmative. Thank you very much, Council. I believe Mr. Bennett's in the audience, and if you could come down and join me in the front here, we'll swear you in. Appreciate you being willing to serve. My pleasure. Thank you. Absolutely. So your council liaison, as you know, Councilmember Shenega. So Mr. Bennett, this is going to be real simple. I'm just going to ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I'm going to say the word I. After I say the word I, please repeat the word I, but also say your name. I
I, Jamie Bennett,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will fulfill
that I will fulfill
the requirements of
the requirements of
office I'm about to assume,
the office I'm about to assume,
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I'll be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland,
to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws thereof,
and laws thereof,
that I will faithfully and impartially,
that I will faithfully and impartially,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of
as a member of
the Marina Commission,
the Marina Commission
City of Havre de Grace,
for the city of Havre de Grace
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities.
Thank you, Jamie. Welcome. Jamie, if I could have you step over here real quick, I got a couple of things for you to sign. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Sign right here, the state city records. One more thing I'd like to give you. All full people that serve on commissions, like in flag our city.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We appreciate it, and look forward to serve.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
If you don't mind, I'll snap a quick picture of you real quick.
Absolutely.
Stand in the, stand in the, there you go. In the original picture.
Hey, on 3.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Thank you. I won't believe you, James. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to item number 9, recognitions. This evening, we have no recognitions. Item 10, proclamations. We have no proclamations this evening. So we'll go to item 11, which is presentations. And we have 2 presentations. We have annual presentation report from the Water and Sewer Commission. And we also have an update from the Green Team. So we're going to start with the Water Sewer Commission, and we'll have the liaison to the commission, Councilmember Martin. Absolutely.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Martin, Council President, council member, staff, and those in the audience, both here and at home. Thank you for allowing me to address you tonight. Simple question: why do people move and live in Havre de Grace? Could be our quality of life and our diversity, the arts and entertainment, festivals, special events, parks, living shoreline, easy waterfront access, walking trails, open space, community gardens, fruit forest, our volunteer EMS services, the Susquehanna Hose Company, with their quick response and ISO 1 rating, reducing homeowners' insurance costs. The Havre de Grace Ambulance Corps, with their quick response for medical emergencies. The safety, the Havre de Grace Police Department, a full-service agency. Through their efforts, Havre de Grace has a crime rate 38% below the national average. Our Department of Public Works for street repair, special events, water and sewer. I'm going to talk about the water and sewer. What's important? Clean water and toilets that flush. Water pressure for fire suppression for the hose company. Do you know that the Water and Sewer Department have criteria they have to meet to maintain the Susquehanna Hose Company's ISO 1 rating? Also, when we just look down the street a little bit at the issues you see in both Baltimore County and Baltimore City with poor maintenance and poor water flow. I want to talk about an enterprise fund. I know the council and mayor and staff, you understand what it is. Citizens here and at home, you may not. An enterprise fund is a self-supporting government fund that sells goods and services to the public for a fee related to the fund's mission. The general fund, Fund 1, is tax dollars, and it can't be used to fund an enterprise fund. Enterprise fund money can only be spent on specific purpose. Fund 9 is for water and sewer. The purpose of the commission is to provide the mayor and city council with recommendations regarding strategic direction of the enterprise fund, capital projects, budget considerations and timing implementation, establishing and monitoring operational goals and objectives, rate charges related to the ordinances which apply to users and potential users for public water and sewer system, and review of all requests made to the city for reduction or waiver of capital cost recovery fees, and to make a recommendation to the mayor and city council concerning the same. Council, I don't know if you have this on the dais tonight. If you don't, you will be getting a copy of it. All right, the annual report is by authority of the Havre de Grace City Code 25, Article 11. It is presented tonight, March 20th. We're talking about the fiscal year 2022, the state of the water and sewer fund. And like I said, there's a lot of numbers here. I'm going to let you look at those. I'm not going to read them into the record for you. You can see. But you can see the very bottom line is the fund balance for 2022 was $207,199. Funds to address revenues required are generated by three distinct revenue sources: connections fees, CCRF, rates charged to customers for the purpose of water, inclusive of sewage rate component, other fees such as infrastructure replacement fees. All combined, the revenue sources from A and B historically continue to underperform the revenue necessary to meet the city's obligations for debt and realistic capital improvement. And again, graphs are there. I'm not going to go over all the information on the graphs. The mayor and city council recognize the vulnerability of the water sewer fund and continue to monitor the city growth and where necessary to raise rates to fund required infrastructure and maintenance and replacement. One, receive citizen approval to borrow $15 million over a five-year period, starting in fiscal year 20, to fund infrastructure maintenance and improvement. To date, almost 3.7 million have been drawn down on that to fund the current CIP. Acceptance of legislative execution of the Water and Sewer Commission fiscal year 22 recommendations. Continued public outreach programs to educate citizens on the challenge of Fund 9. And also one of the challenges of Fund 9 that's not listed here is our FOG program. We got to remember about fats, oil, and greases in our sewer system. They create an undue burden on the sewer lines and also on our wastewater treatment plant. Continue the strategy through Department of Economic Development to encourage future economic growth through aggressive efforts to attract high-volume water users and increase housing inventory. Remain open to negotiations with Harford County to be available water resource. Continue supporting the capital improvement plan at the water treatment plant to increase production capacity. The year-to-date current fiscal year 2023. The Commission is pleased and remains confident that the challenges of the Water and Sewer Fund are both recognized and understood by the Mayor and City Council. This is most evident by the following Mayor and Council actions. Continued endorsement of public outreach. Continued development and prioritization of detailed capital improvement plan. Embracing the need for affordable long-term debt financing to address the infrastructure. Continued following through on the referendum on February 4th, 2020, through which $9.7 million was obtained. Adding Aberdeen as a future customer for excess water production capabilities. I know it's taken a long time, but we are moving forward with that. And hopefully by summer, it will be done, but that's being optimistic. So far, everybody's been dragging their feet. And the problem isn't necessarily with the city of Aberdeen or the city of Havre de Grace. The problem is everybody got the ARPA funds at the same time. And it's the ability to have people and businesses be able to come in and do what they consider smaller projects. It's more to their advantage to do the larger projects. So as a smaller project, our water and sewer, or the water line to Aberdeen and Aberdeen's water line to Havre de Grace, that's kind of taken a backseat to some of the construction companies. But it is moving forward, and we plan to see that come into fruition. Working with the Planning Department in creating new development legislation within the city limits to reduce red tape for developers and city residents. I want to thank the Planning Department for working on, as well as EJ and DPW. Reorganize the administrative staff and to better manage the significant number of large-scale projects being implemented in the city. Challenges for fiscal year 2024 and our Maintain the momentum. The administration must continue its strategy, discover Havre de Grace as the city of choice. And it is Discover Your Maryland in Havre de Grace, and it is very important to us. To own and operate a business, to relocate a family, to experience our new middle and senior high school, to experience our parks and participate in our events, while simultaneously demanding a time-sensitive and aggressive reconstruction of our water treatment plant and high-priority infrastructure projects being completely seamlessly to the end user. Recommendations for 2024. Pardon me while I get my fingers to work again. As required by City Code Chapter 25, Article 11, Section 25-69B, the Commission submits the following recommendations to the administration. 1, continue identifying failures repairing critical components, and committing to improvements throughout Fund 9 areas, and the continued emphasis on the reductions in operating expenses using best practices. Debt service. Under the current debt repayment model, the intended revenue source is the CCRF, requires 148 new constructions in a fiscal period to cover debt payments. Recognizing the number of connections needed, the administration must continue to practice a realistic estimate for annual connections in preparing for the fiscal year 24 budget and adjust expenses for revenue forecast. Increase the IRF to help compensate for inflation experienced by large-scale projects within the CIP. Current capital projects have experienced unprecedented inflation of up to 50%. However, the increases will not likely be sustained at such high levels going forward. Going forward, Fund 9 will experience residual higher costs. Consequently, an increase to the IRF of $2.40 from $30 to $32.40 per quarter, an 8% increase is recommended by the Water and Sewer Commission. The Department of Public Works should continue to update the CIP annually and seek all capital improvement grant opportunities. The Commission is deeply concerned with the annual cumulative effects of inflation on Fund 9 sustainable revenue requirements. To address this issue, the Commission strongly recommends the implementation of a legislative mandate annual rate increase to meet the annual increases in operating costs to maintain rising employee and chemical costs should be considered. Inflationary rates increases should be improved even in years when the increase is small. This mitigates the detrimental effects of compounding inflation over rates over time. Routinely increasing rates to keep up with operating costs helps to avoid allocating funds intended for CIP over operations. The administration should also be sensitive to the pressure to use water and sewer rate revenue to service debt. The Water and Sewer Commission recommends a reevaluation of the city ordinance established in the Water and Sewer Commission. The structure of leadership and duties of the commission need to be clarified. A meeting with the city attorney, city council, and city administrators is requested to address that. And what we're talking about there is removing a council member from the position of chair. And like some of the other commissions we have, the Ethics Commission, we go to a commission that is run by a citizen member, and the council member becomes the liaison. That is a discussion we would like to have with the administration and with the city attorney in the future. I'd like to thank Council Member Jason Robertson, Johnny Boker, who's here in the audience tonight, Garrett Lytle, Jimmy Clark, Rodney Swam, Dan Wozniak, George DeHorty, E.J. Mulder, and Tracy Conway for all their efforts and everything they do to make the Water and Sewer Commission as effective as it can be. Thank you for tonight for giving me the opportunity to speak. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Councilman Martin. Appreciate it.
And if I could, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to be excused now.
Absolutely. Hope you feel better, Councilman Martin. Thanks for being here this evening.
Thank you, sir.
In addition, I'd like to thank the members of the Water and Sewer Commission. I know former City Council member Garrett Lytle is here in the audience, who serves on the commission. Thank you for being here, Garrett. It's one of the final pieces of the puzzle I've been kind of waiting on a little bit as we prepare our budget, and that I'll have to give the council in the next couple of council meetings. But we know the numbers in administration, but you know, we rely upon the Water and Sewer Commission to analyze it and give us their recommendations. So I will take your report, and we'll be meeting in my office this week, and we'll kind of chew over those recommendations, and we'll come up with some numbers that'll help everything be balanced and in compliance. But I do know this, one thing that was underscored in the Water and Sewer Commission's report, and one thing that is painfully apparent, is just the cost of everything has gone up. It's just, you know, all the chemicals we put in the water, that didn't sound good. I mean, the, the arsenic, I'm joking. No, I mean, but just the basic stuff, we put, you know, to settle down the, you know, the solids, all the turbidity and things like that. I mean, all that stuff is just like tripled in price. It's just, we haven't raised rates in several years, but, you know, we're gonna take a look at the numbers. I'm not saying anything tonight one way or the other, but like I say, it's, everybody in this room knows that everything's gone up in price. It was only a matter of time till it just really starts, hitting the water and sewer fund till the point where it's flying on fumes right now. So, you know, the outlook, at least from where we are, is, you know, we believe that the new home construction should still be pretty robust going into next year, which is good for the debt service. So, you know, we're going to take a look at everything. But anyway, long story short, appreciate all the work the commission did. That was the one final piece we were kind of just waiting for before we made our final decision through the administration, which we'll hand it to the council for their consideration as well on what path we want to take with water and sewer. So, but thank you again. Yes, Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you. I would like to bring up a point of kind of education in terms of cost and benefits. Basically, what Councilmember Martin suggested was there's a potential for an increase. And I would like to compare the need for water and sewer services to the need for cable TV. With cable TV, you are paying for many, many channels that you don't use, and you don't have a choice. And if I had a choice between cable TV and water and sewer, I know what I would choose. Cable TV for a family of 4 is probably running at least $500 a month. That's a car payment. Water and sewer is running much less than that. I got an increase this year from Comcast, and I finally was able to drop them and go with T-Mobile and internet and I think YouTube TV. And right off the bat, I saved $100 a month. So there are ways to cut some costs. I also went with the T-Mobile phone, and that's costing me $54 a month, and the Verizon was charging me $111. So I've probably saved about $150 a month making the changes that I made this year. So I just want people to bear in mind that if an increase is needed, to look at the cost-benefit analysis in terms of what water and sewer does for you versus what cable TV does for you that has maybe 120 channels, of which 100 you don't watch. And that's just the way the system's set up, and that's the way cable companies make money. And I just give it some thought and think about it. What we pay for water and sewer is really not that horrendous, but when you look at it in comparison to other services like utilities, then I think you'll see that you get a real bargain in terms of water and sewer. I'm not saying people like increases, but I think that there's a thread here where you have to be practical and take a look at what you're paying for and what is it worth. Again, I would rather have water and sewer any day over some of these conveniences, let's say. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. We'll go to item number B, Green Team report. I'd like to call forward Ms. Carol Zimmerman. Good evening, Ms. Zimmerman.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to the mayor and city council about the Havre de Grace Green Team. The title says the food composting program, but I'm going to take this opportunity to update you on all of our programs and projects, if you don't mind. Okay. So here's a list of our current programs and projects, and I'll quickly run through these for you. The community gardens, this is our oldest project. It's also the oldest and largest community garden program in the whole county, and we're very proud of that fact. We were filled, all of our plots were filled last year, and we anticipate they will be this year, but we now have 2 plots left. Since I prepared this slide last week, 2 plots have already been rented at Seneca Avenue, but we still have 2 plots there available if anyone in the audience would like to join us in Community Garden. I'd like to highlight one major improvement that's taken place already this year, and that is the addition of a chain link fence at the old Reservoir Garden, which is behind the community center. And Vulcan Materials donated the materials and labor to take down the old fence, which was in very poor condition, and put up this new chain link fence. So we're very appreciative of Vulcan doing that. You know, they've, over the years, donated a lot of materials to that location. And I'd like to thank all of the other volunteers who make this project and many more that you'll see possible. I'm not going to call all of them out, but they are listed on the slides. The Heirloom Victory Garden. This is located at the rear of the Moore Family Homestead on Market Street. We're very proud of the fact of how this program has grown over the years. Last year, we donated 1,920 pounds of fresh produce to 3 food pantries here in town. That food was planted, maintained, harvested, and delivered to those food pantries. I'd also like to call out a donation that was made by the Hopewell Methodist Church, a monetary donation, and that has been used to install vertical arches, which you see pictured there on the slide, that will enable plants to be grown up vertically and add to our ability to produce food there. So the Heirloom Victory Garden's in its 5th year of operation. Todd Park Food Forest over on Seneca Avenue. It's now in its 8th year. We have lots of trees and bushes and beds, and you can see the diversity of types of plants that we have there listed. Those plants are maintained by a set of tree adopters. Our Adopt-a-Tree program has been going on for a few years and has been very successful, and some of you here on the dais are tree adopters, and we thank you for that. And we do have a few plants that need adopters, so if anyone in the audience would like to join us, we'll be having a work day here on April 1st, so let me know. The thing to report for this year is that we obtained a $1,000 grant from the Department of Natural Resources so that we could produce some more individual plant signage so people can understand what the plant is and how it can be used for food, when to harvest it, and that sort of thing. And we'll be producing some more of those signs and installing them this year. Our apiary, those are the beehives over on Seneca Avenue, and now in its 5th year. Last year I should say, we had a bumper crop of 262 pounds of honey that were produced by those busy little bees, and that honey was put in jars and sold as a fundraiser for the Green Team, but we also donated jars to the food pantries. If any of you still want to get some of our honey, we have a few jars available for sale at Bahuka's Antiques Mall on Union Avenue, so stop in there and pick some up. One of the things we'll be doing here in the next few weeks is installing new hive boxes. These will be lateral hives. As you see pictured there, these will be easier for the beekeepers to maintain because they're lighter and easier to lift out rather than lifting the entire boxes. And so they're beautifully painted, as you see in the picture there. Okay, the next project I'd like to get to is our composting project. We call that Zero Waste, and now it will be in its 3rd year come June. And I'm sure some of you could remember when we kicked that off. We didn't know if this was going to be successful, but we've received great support from the community. And there's a typo on this slide. It should say 40,250 pounds of food waste was diverted last year from landfills. And we've been growing year over year and how much food waste has been contributed. One of the things that people really like is to bring their pizza boxes there, because as you know, you can't put pizza boxes in the single stream recycling. But you can bring it to the food waste drop-off where they'll be composted. We've had so many pizza boxes that we've added a 5th bin to accommodate all of the food and pizza boxes we're receiving. And you'll be hearing more about it soon, but we are planning an Earth Day event to highlight our food waste composting. Bee City and our pollinators activity. 3 years ago, the Xerxes Society, a national organization, accepted Havre de Grace, the city of Havre de Grace, into its Bee City program. We became certified, and since then the Green Team has been preparing an annual report and submitting our renewal each year. And we have just last year put up the sign that designates that we are a Bee City. You may have seen it. It's not a huge sign, but it is there on the corner of Otsego right before you turn onto Union Avenue. And through this program, we promote the protection of pollinators, their habitats, and making the public aware of the importance of pollinators to our flowering plants, our food system, and so forth. And so we've done this through various means so far, such as you see there on the Independence Day Parade, where pollinators have been our theme, and we've done it this promotion in a variety of ways. This year, we're going to lay out a plan in conjunction with the Department of Public Works to have some more concrete activities for the city to pursue. So look for more information on our Bee City activities, and just last week we met with EJ to go over some of these, and we're very pleased with his interest in that program. Okay, the next one, Think Green, Eat Green. This initiative recognizes the fact that the decisions we all make about the food we eat and how the food industry produces food can have environmental consequences, such as climate change and soil health. And so this initiative is intended to educate the public about some of these issues. One of the means is through a regularly produced newsletter. We're doing it quarterly now on food and sustainability. It's labeled Think Green, Eat Green. But in addition to the newsletter, which you can get on our website, we have an archive there, but it does go out to our large mailing list when it's produced. We do other activities, and a couple of these last year were, one last year was a tour in conjunction with Third Way Farm, taking people out on the farm to see how they're sustainably producing their food. And coming next week, there'll be at Vandiver a plant-based meal, and because that idea builds on what this Think Green, Eat Green initiative is about, the Green Team has helped promote that for Vandiver. So take advantage of that if you are interested. And finally, our education and outreach initiative. Of course, we do education and outreach on all of our activities, but this one in particular has to do with our film program and recently added book discussions. Just last year, we obtained a grant from BGE through its Green Grant program that enabled us to revamp our film program, which had been going on since 2017, but it enabled us to relocate from the Maritime Museum to the Opera House, and where we were able to attract larger audiences. And in September, we launched that new film series with a reception where we served food that was donated by local businesses, emphasizing our, eat local, buy local, and promoting those, what those businesses have to offer. And we had, as you can see in the pictures, a great turnout at that reception. And then we also started our book club, which is held at Coakley's Pub. And so those alternate a film 1 month and a book discussion the next month. And listed there is what we plan in April, Nature's Best Hope by Doug Tallamy, a professor at University of Delaware, which is very interesting. I encourage you to take a look at that. Another outreach for this year is that we've linked up with a volunteer club at the middle and high school here in Havre de Grace, and they're going to be helping us at our community gardens spread some mulch coming up in a week. And also, sixth grade teachers reached out to us recently to help with their environmental project. So with that, I would like to close by saying that, I hope you can see that we are, the Green Team's continuing to fill an important niche here in town with an emphasis on environmental projects, but we also are helping to support the city's initiatives such as the Sustainable Maryland and promoting some of the other activities the city has, the Tide Trolley and the Living Shoreline and so forth. So we appreciate all the support the city has given to the Green Team over the years, and we look forward to continuing this useful relationship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council, do you have any questions?
I just want to say it's an absolute honor to be the liaison for the council to the Green Team. I have a background working in volunteer management, and there's nothing more exciting and uplifting but working with a bunch of volunteers who are committed and excited about the work that they do, and most importantly, they get things done. And that's what the Green Team does. It doesn't matter, like all of the projects that you listed, I mean, the outcome year to year is unbelievable. And I don't think it's anything that the city could we couldn't possibly employ enough people to be able to do as much as the volunteers do. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to be your liaison, and I'm very proud and very excited to see the work that we're going to continue to do. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Casey, and we really appreciate having you as our liaison, too.
Other questions or comments? Again, I just want to thank you and the members of the Green Team for all that you do. The city of Havre de Grace wouldn't be where we are today without. Sorry. City of Havre de Grace wouldn't be where we are today without the Green Team. It's been a nice journey throughout the years since its creation. We've done a lot of different things, and I'm looking forward to the next venture. So again, we look forward to working with you. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for the very good update. And thanks to every member on the Green Team.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to item 12, resolutions. We have one resolution, and resolution to approve language on the ballot question, and I'm going to hand that to the council president.
Mr. Mayor, council, citizens, I make a motion to introduce a resolution to approve language of ballot question to transfer, for transfer of property to Habitat for Humanity Susquehanna Incorporated.
Council, I have a motion by the council president. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Zinner. This is a motion to introduce a resolution. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce a resolution carries 4-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, can you please read the header of the resolution into the record?
This will be resolution number 2023-03, a resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to the Local Government Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, Sections 33 and 34 and 75 of the City Charter, to approve the language of the ballot question and the placing of the question on the ballot at the next regular election to be held May 2nd, 2023. For vote or approval of the transfer of city-owned real property not needed for a public purpose, which property is located in Bradford Green, also sometimes known as Battery Village, on Village Drive in the city of Havre de Grace, to Habitat for Humanity Susquehanna, Inc.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Council will have a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-03.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Schneges. Sorry. Motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Council President. Questions or comments? Council President?
What this is we have surplus property 3 lots, I believe, over on Village Drive. Used to be known as Battery Village, but it's Bradford Green. So we're giving it to Habitat, but in order for us to surplus and transfer it, we have to put it before the citizens. So it's going to go on the ballot for our May election.
Thank you, Council President. Any further questions or comments? Councilmember Zinner?
I would just like to let everyone know that Habitat receives approximately 1,200 applications for new housing each year. And I would not want to be the person that has to decide on who gets the only 9 homes that they can build in a year. So this is a very important ballot question. It'll provide new housing for 3 families, and there'll be a lot of disappointed people, but this is the way things are today. They get 1,200 applications. Now, they're not all from Havre de Grace. They reach into Cecil County, and they reach into all of Harford County. But someone has to make those decisions based on the story that they hear, and some of them are absolutely heartbreaking in terms of what people write in. So I just hope you'll all consider this resolution and the ballot question, and that you can find it in your hearts to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Zinner. Any further questions or comments? Okay, Council, we're going to do a roll call for Resolution 2023-3. Councilmember Schnegas.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 4-0 in the affirmative, City Council Resolution 2023-03 is approved and adopted by Council.
Mayor,
Thank you very much.
I just want to point out a piece of history that just occurred. With this vote, for the first time, women were in the majority of the vote in the city of Havre de Grace.
Okay, thank you very much.
Did you assume my gender?
Okay, we're going to go to item number 13, ordinances. This evening, we have a handful of ordinances. We have 5 ordinances that we need to go through here. And so item A is going to be ordinance number 1096 concerning amending Chapter 97, Section 4, Historic Preservation Commission. And we're going to hand it off to the liaison to Historic Preservation Commission. That's going to be Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you. I make a motion to introduce ordinance 1096 for second reading and adoption.
So moved.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Zinner, seconded by Councilmember Schnegas. Questions or comments? This is a motion to introduce an ordinance on second reading.
This is an ordinance to increase the active members of the Historic Preservation Commission from 9 members to 11 plus 2 alternates. The Commission has become more and more active over the past few years, and this will enable them to take on a larger portfolio and other projects, and they're always very interested in saving historic homes in the city of Havre de Grace and also bringing attention to those homes. So this will allow them to spread out a little bit more and have more help in terms of how they want to communicate regarding historic homes in the city, and work with the planning department as well for appropriate legislation to protect those homes.
Thank you, Councilmember Zinner. Any other questions on a motion introduced on a second reading? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion introduced carries 4-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, could you please read a header of ordinance 1096 into the record for second reading?
An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter to amend Chapter 97, Section 4, Historic Preservation Commission.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Council, I have a motion to approve and adopt ordinance 1096 on second reading.
So moved.
Second?
Council President, second by Councilmember Zinner. Consent.
Did she second it? Who seconded it?
Carol Zinner and the Council President motioned at the same time. So I gave him the motion, I gave her the second. So, questions or comments on 1096? Okay, Council, we're going to do a roll call vote. Councilmember Shenanigans?
Yes.
Council President Ringsager?
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner?
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer?
Yes.
By roll call vote of 4-0 in the affirmative, City Council Ordinance 1096 concerning amending Chapter 97, Section 4, Historic Preservation Commission is adopted and approved by Council. Thank you very much. Item B, ordinance number 1097 for second reading as well, dealing with surplus property for Habitat for Humanity, and we're going to hand this one off to the Council President.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I make a motion that we introduce ordinance number 1097 declaring surplus property to Habitat for Humanity for second reading and adoption. Did I mess up?
No,
Second?
okay. Council, I have a motion by the Council President, seconded by Councilmember Shenanigans. This is a motion to introduce on second reading ordinance number 1097, declaring surplus property to Habitat for Humanity. Questions or comments on the motion to introduce? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Motion introduced 1097 on second reading carries 4-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, could you please read this header into the record?
Yes. An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, for the purpose of declaring certain real property owned by the Mayor and City Council surplus property and no longer needed for any public purpose for public use, and offered at a nominal fee to Hartford Habitat for Humanity to construct 3 homes as part of their home build construction project.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Council, do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1097 on second reading?
So move.
I have a motion by Councilmember Boyer, second by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments? Council President.
So this is a sister ordinance to the previous resolution. In order for us to have the ballot question on transfer of the previous, surplus property, we need to actually declare it surplus property. So the ordinance, what that does is declare the surplus property. However, there is an issue with the wording in the ordinance. Apparently, we misnamed the Habitat group. I think we had Habitat for Humanity, Harford County. It's supposed to be Habitat for Humanity, Susquehanna. So I make a motion to correct the name throughout the document from Habitat for Harford Habitat for Humanity Incorporated to Habitat for Humanity, Susquehanna.
Second?
Hey, what's that? Council, you want to treat this as a friendly amendment, Council President?
Please, throughout the document.
Is there no objection to fixing this error? Okay. All right, then it should say, wherever it says Hartford Habitat for Humanity Incorporated, it should state Habitat for Humanity Susquehanna for ordinance 1097. Okay, fair enough. Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Okay, roll call vote on 1097. Councilmember Boyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes.
Councilmember Shenanigans?
Yes.
By roll call vote of 4-0 in the affirmative, ordinance 1097 is adopted on second reading. Thank you very much, Council, and we will move on to item C. Okay, item C is going to give us ordinance 1098, which is another ordinance for second reading. And this will go to Councilmember Shenanigans.
Thank you. Council, I move to introduce ordinance number 1098 concerning amending City Code 147, rental property, in the second reading.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Shenanigans, and it's seconded by the Council President. This is a motion to introduce ordinance 1098 on second reading. Questions or comments on the motion to introduce? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce ordinance 1098 on second reading carries 4-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, could you please read this header into the record?
An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, to amend City Code, Chapter 147, rental property.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Council, I have a motion to adopt 1098 on second reading.
Second.
Motion by Council President, seconded by Councilmember Boyer. Questions or comments? Councilmember Shenanigans?
This ordinance is designed to incorporate the short-term rental property agreements after careful consideration of comments from our citizens as well as our council and administration. We have put together this ordinance.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Shenanigans. Any other questions or comments before the roll call vote? Councilmember Boyer, do you have a question?
So we're voting on the bill as is, or with the amendments that we discussed?
So currently, what you have in your packet is the proposed amendments, as well as the public has it as well. Then behind that, you have the original ordinance. Unless you amend it right now for the proposed, you're voting on the second.
On the original ordinance?
Correct.
Council President.
Mr. Mayor, Council all, I'll go ahead and read the amendments that were given at the work session. And if you'll all indulge me, I'd like to make a motion that I'm going to read them all, and I'll make a motion that we introduce them all as agreed upon at the work session. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. So line number 97, let me get my glasses here.
We're doing it all as one motion.
All as one motion. Make a motion to make these amendments. We're going to add all applicable licensing fees are listed in Chapter 70 of the City Code. We're going to strike the line that says the annual fee for the short-term rental license is $100 per unit. Line number 119, 120, and 121, 122, and 123, strike that. Line 125, subsection 147, we're going to add 18 on that. And then line number 128, 129, we're going to add every February. The Department of Planning shall provide the City Council with an annual report every February. Next, line 132, we're going to add a number 3. And then we're going to add an and between STRD and the words to change the boundaries. And then after STRD, we're going to strike the sentence and/or to adjust use taxes as appropriate. Line number 140, subsection 147, we're going to add number 19. We're going to correct on line 143 where it said certificate of occupancy. We're going to change that to certificate of use and occupancy to be consistent with our city standards. Line 147, we're going to add on the front door of the dwelling, meaning that the host must prominently display the requirements on the front door of the dwelling. We're going to strike the next line here. It says in an area of the dwelling unit that is readily accessible to the transient guests. Line 149, we're going to say of the host, so emerging contact information of the host or a representative of the host. Next line, number 150, we're going to redact the. We're going to strike the line that says to be located within 15 miles of the short-term rental and. So there's no longer a requirement for the host to be within 15 miles of the rental unit, which actually would negate some of the people that rent an Airbnb anyways. So line number 152, we're going to add on the front door of the dwelling, as previously stated. Line 157, subsection 147, we're going to add a 20 to that. Line 161, the front door of the dwelling, we're going to strike exterior of the short-term rental. Page 2. Line 163, subsection 147, we're going to add number 21. And then 164, 165, we're going to add the sentence, or two children under 12 years of age. So we're adding that to the end of that sentence. Line 167, subsection 147-20, 147, we're going to add number 22. And then line 170, we're going to add this entire sentence, 170, 171, 172, 173. It's going to read, the Department of Planning will randomly inspect 10% of all licensed short-term rental units annually. A form with the inspection requirements will be made available to the property owner in advance of the inspection. Line 175, subsection 147, we're going to add 23. Line 182, subsection 147, we're going to add 24. Line 195, subsection 147, we're going to strike 26, and then the following sentences on 195, 196, 197, 198, where it reads, licenses under special exemption approval, the Board of Appeals may consider a special exemption for the short-term rental license under the findings stated in Chapter 25, Article 4 of the City Code for location outside the STRD, but east of Pulaski Highway. Line 200, subsection 147, we're going to add 25. Line 204, subsection 147, we're going to add 26. And finally, line 209, this ordinance becomes effective on July 1st, not June 1st. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Council President. I'll take that as a motion.
Yes, sir. I moved.
Have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Boyer. Are there any questions or comments? Councilmember Boyer?
First, I want to thank Tim for all the work that he did lining it out for the meeting that we had. I think the presentation was very helpful, and I think it would be helpful to others, I mean, making sure that that is in part of the legislative intent with this ordinance, because it explains how we got here, why it's needed, and provides some instruction on moving forward. This is not meant to be something that it's one and done. It's meant to be a starting point so that as our city grows, we'll with it. There are a couple of things that I want to highlight that I thought was great that we added in here. Clarifying where the information will be available within the unit, very important. I love the idea of having a 10% just check on the property owners to make sure that what was sent to us is actually valid. We're not going to do everybody because that's probably overkill. But to have a randomized sampling of people just so that we, the community, know that everything is on the up and up, I think it's a good thing. And it also provides us, the city council, with the information on whether or not people are taking it seriously. And then finally, changing the ordinance effective date from June to July. That was a part of conversation, and it's going to save the city money by doing it, because then we'll be able to send out notices to the community with the tax bills. It won't be a separate mailing, and that'll save our community around, what was it, $4,000 just in mailing cost. So all of those things I think are great changes that we made to it. I appreciate the process, and I think we have a solid start for the ordinance so that we can move forward and make sure that we are thoughtful on how short-term rentals are conducted within our city. So thank you all.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyer. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Zinner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with the 10%, because with an Airbnb, we felt that in discussing it that they'll be self-regulated in many instances, because if you get a bad review, people aren't going to come to your place. So it's incumbent on them to keep up their standards. So I think the 10% is reasonable.
Thank you, Councilmember Zinner. Any further questions or comments? Okay. We'll go ahead and do a roll call on 1098. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. We're still under the amendment. Sorry about that. Yeah, okay. Council President's amendments. Motion by Council President, second by Councilmember Boyer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Council President's amendments on ordinance 1098 carry 4-0 in the affirmative. Okay, we're back under the question to adopt 1098. Any further questions and comments on ordinance 1098 for second reading? Okay. Roll call on 1098. Councilmember Zinner?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes.
Councilmember Shenagus?
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer?
Yes.
By roll call vote of 4-0 in the affirmative, City Council Ordinance 1098 is approved and adopted on second reading. Thank you, Council. Item D, ordinance concerning a deed of easement for sanitary sewer. And we'll hand that to Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you. I make a motion to introduce an ordinance concerning accepting a deed of easement for sanitary sewer to include sewer pump station and force main at the Maryland National Guard for first reading.
Second?
I have a motion by Councilmember Zinner, seconded by Councilmember Shenagus. This is a, I'm sorry. This is a motion to introduce on first reading an ordinance. Questions or comments on this introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce on first reading an ordinance concerning the easement of sanitary sewer to include sewer pump station and force main at Maryland National Guard. That introduction carries 4-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, would you please read the header into the record and assign this ordinance a number?
This will be ordinance number 1100, an ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, for the purpose of accepting a deed of easement with respect to sanitary sewer to include sewer pump station and force main located on property of the Maryland National Guard.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Council, I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1100 on first reading.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Zinner and seconded by the Council President. Questions or comments? Councilmember Zinner.
I'm very chatty tonight, am I not? This is an easement request for work that we've done at the Maryland National Guard, and it's for a new pipe and a force main, which forces sewage uphill, which was not happening effectively in the past. And the easement is needed in case there are repairs that are needed so that we can go in and take care of the maintenance and repairs.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Boyer?
I just want to point out that I think it's kind of ironic that we're buying the property for $1, and I believe that the history of that property was that the National Guard received the property for $2, all of that property. So just kind of interesting dollar amounts. That's it. I think it's great, but.
Taking a loss.
What a bargain in the age of inflation.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so yes, we are under the question to a motion to adopt. I have a motion by Councilmember Zinner, second by Council President, and we will do a roll call vote on ordinance number 1100. Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shenagus.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 4-0 in the affirmative, ordinance number 1100 is adopted on first reading. Council President, we're going to need to put this up for a public hearing. How say ye?
Let's see here, I think April 3rd looks great.
April 3rd. Nah, I got a pool game that night. How about the 4th? No, I'm kidding.
Sounds good to me.
April 3rd is good. All right, we'll do April 3rd. It'll be the next council meeting, prior to the meeting, April 3rd, ordinance 1100. Okay, and we will go to item 11, ordinance concerning deed of easement for a water line at Maryland National Guard. And once again, the chatty Councilmember Zimmerman. Or Zimmerman, not Zimmerman.
I
Zimmer,
know,
sorry.
I know, it's all right.
God, sorry.
I move to make a motion to introduce an ordinance concerning accepting a deed of easement for a water line at the Maryland National Guard on first reading.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Zinner. Do I have a second? Second by Councilmember Boyer. This is going to be a motion to introduce on first reading an ordinance concerning a deed of easement for a water line at Maryland National Guard, and we have a motion and a second for introduction for first reading. Any questions or comments on the motion introduced for first reading? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion introduced. This ordinance carries 4-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, please read the header into the record and assign this number, please.
This will be ordinance number 1101. An ordinance by the mayor and city council of Havre de Grace adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland, and sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, for the purpose of accepting a deed of easement with respect to a water line located on property of the Maryland National Guard.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Council, to have a motion to adopt ordinance 1101 on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by the Council President, seconded by Councilmember Boyer. Questions or comments? Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you. This is a companion piece to the previous legislation that we just voted on, and it entails the access to the water line for maintenance and repair.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Council, we're going to do a roll call vote on ordinance 1101. Council President.
Yes.
Councilmember Schneegis.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 4-0 in the affirmative, City Council Ordinance 1101 is approved and adopted on first reading. Council President, would April 3rd be a good time for a public hearing?
As long as you can make it.
All right, I think I can make it that night. That's going to be the next council meeting. So we will have a public hearing on ordinance 1100 and 1101 on Monday, April 3rd, preceding, or is it Tuesday? It's Monday. Yeah, Monday, April 3rd, preceding the regularly scheduled council meeting. Okay? Well done, council. We got through the ordinances, and now we're going to go to item 15.
14.
1 second. Which is, sorry, item 14, old business, we have none. Item 15, new business, we have special events. We have 4 special events on the docket, and the Director of Administration, Mr. Gambatori, is going to walk us through these.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And council, before you, we have 4 special events. The first one being Blessings by the Bay, sponsored by the Susquehanna Ministerium. The on-site contact person will be Dr. Lynn Humphreys Russ, who spoke this evening along with Reverend Proud. They are a 501c3. This is a prayer, praise, worship, and blessing that will occur down at Concord Point. The setup will be on the 7th of May at 2 p.m. The event will start at 3 and at 5, and a breakdown will be at 6 p.m. The expectation is to have about 100 folks there. There will obviously be no alcohol. Food will not be served. There is a site map in your packet along with the costing sheet from the police department and DPW. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gambatory. Council, I have a motion to approve Blessing by the Bay.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by the council president, seconded by Councilmember Boyer. Questions or comments? Blessing by the Bay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Blessing by the Bay, May 7, 2023, 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock at Concord Point Park is approved by council, 4-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gambatory.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, the next event application is the Havre de Grace High School Music Boosters 5K, sponsored by the Havre de Grace High School Music Boosters. The on-site contact person will be Aaron Weber. This is a 5K race. The setup will begin on the 13th of May at 6 a.m. The event starts on the 13th at 8 a.m., ends at 11:30 a.m., with a breakdown at 12 p.m. The location where the race will start is Tidings Memorial Park. They anticipate about 150 attendees. There's a traffic plan in your packet along with the site map, the race course, MDOT permit, and of course the costing sheet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gambatory. Council, I have a motion to approve the Havre de Grace High School Music Boosters 5K.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by the council president and seconded by Councilmember Schnagus. Questions or comments on the event? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Havre de Grace High School Music Boosters 5K for May 13th, 2023, 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., starting and ending at Tidings Memorial Park. The event is approved by council, 4-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gambatory.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, before you is the Chesapeake Printers Fair, sponsored by Glyph Design Studio and the Havre de Grace Arts Collective. The collective is a 501c3, and the event organizer, the on-site contact person will be former council member Joe Smith, who spoke this evening. The event is a festival in the downtown area of the 300 and 400 blocks of Pennington Avenue. The event setup is on the 20th of May at 9:30. The event will start at 11 a.m., end at 4 p.m., with a breakdown at 5 p.m. The expectation is about 200 participants. In the packet, you'll see the map of the location. They've also included several of the businesses that will be impacted, the Arts Collective documentation, as well as the costing sheet. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gambatory. Council will have a motion to approve the Chesapeake Printers Fair.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Councilmember Boyer and seconded by Councilmember Schnagus. Questions or comments on the event? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to approve Chesapeake Printers Fair, May 20th, 2023, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., Pennington Avenue, 300 and 400 blocks up to Lodge Lane. That event is approved by council, 4-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gambatory.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And council, the final event this evening is the Upper Chesapeake Bay Pride Festival. It's sponsored by the Upper Chesapeake Bay Pride and St. John's Episcopal Church. The on-site contact person will be Kurt Doan, who spoke this evening on the event. Passed around at this time is the updated map as we get to that. The setup will be on October the 7th at 7 a.m. The event starts at 2 p.m., ends at 6 p.m. with a breakdown at 8 p.m. The location of the event is down at Concord Point. There will be road closures in that area along along Concord Street to Alliance Street over to Young Street as normal. The expectation is somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 visitors. There will be food service on site with food trucks, no alcohol on site. The adjusted map, as I said, should be in front of you now, as is the other documentation and the costing sheet from the police department and DPW. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gambatory. Council, I have a motion to approve the Upper Chesapeake Bay Pride Festival.
So moved.
Council President motioned it, and I believe it's second by Councilmember Shenanigans. Questions or comments? Councilmember Shenanigans?
I would like to say that I really like how you made an area for the children off over near the place where it's on the path. Parents can keep an eye on them, and they have a safe place to engage in activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Shenanigans. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Boyer?
I also want to point out that I think it's great that we're trying to move the food trucks to the other side of the road, away from the keeper's house. I think that makes it more accessible for the keeper's house, and it probably, it's just less noise that way for the keeper's house too. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Upper Chesapeake Bay Pride Festival for October 7, 2023, 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, Concord Point Park. The event is approved by council, 4-0 in the affirmative. Okay, very good, council. We will go on to item 16, report from the directors, and we'll start off the Director of Administration, Mr. Gamatoria.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Boursier on the work on 1098, and especially to the council for the work session. I think the process is exactly how it should work. There was a number of meetings prior to the introduction. Then we had the work session, and the fruits of that labor produced, I think, which is an ordinance that is will be live, and we'll adjust as we go. It is on record, and the adjustments that we made along the way. I also like to thank former council member Lytle's left, and he and council member Martin for presenting the Water Sewer Commission recommendations, and I look forward, Mayor, to having those discussions as we do the final preparation on the budget. I did fail to mention, on 1098, with the passage of it tonight, that will trigger an amendment to Chapter 70, which is the fee ordinance. So we'll have that probably coming up at next meeting, and we'll get those the fee adjusted for that rental ordinance. And then lastly, I'd just like to give props to our finance director over the last several months, as he and I have been working through the budget and preparing it for the mayor so that we can get to the next step of handing it off to council. With that, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatoria. Good evening, Mr. Boursier, Director of Planning.
Good evening, everybody. I know we said thank you enough about all the ordinance 1098, but that was one of the first things I'd taken on when I came in May. We had a report that we gave in July. We were out in the community speaking with people. There were 2 workshops, multiple conversations, trying to work all this out, and it really only affects 40 of the many properties in town. So I think that just really shows, to me at least, being still semi-new here, just the care that everybody really takes in, just even the small amount of properties in town, not something that necessarily affects everybody or ever would affect everyone in town, but just the amount of effort for something that has, on paper, such a small effect. But it's very important. We're continuing on with the long-term rental ordinance. We've finished speaking with landlords, and we'll have something soon to you, to all of you on that to look over. Besides that, we're still plugging away on the comprehensive plan. Planning Commission meetings are the first Monday of the month, except for April, May, and June. It's the second Tuesday of the month. Directly after the normal business in those meetings, we'll be holding comprehensive plan workshops. So anyone out there who's interested in molding the city and providing ideas of how we want the city to look like 20 years from now, we look for anybody's input and anybody who would like to join in. We're also looking for an alternate Planning Commission member. So anybody in the community who's interested in being a part of the Planning Commission, we're still looking for an alternate member. They can contact me through email or by phone, and I can get that application to them. And if anybody knows anyone or wants to volunteer anyone, I'm more than willing to make the phone call to give them that extra nudge. Besides that, we're we're trying to introduce more ordinances just for cleanup of things. We're working with the community on all those and with all of you as well. We're trying to move at a slow clip on those things, so everything's thoroughly done and just not to overwhelm everybody. All those things are going through the Planning Commission, but there are some things that need to be cleaned up with a 40-year-old zoning ordinance. So we're moving forward on those, and we welcome anybody who wants to come to any of those Planning Commission meetings or these meetings for public hearings and provide any input that they can. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Horty, Director of Finance.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens, both here and at home. As my colleague, the Director of Administration, noted, we're coming to the end of the budget session. We're getting to the bone, and we're working for life after ARPA. That was a huge, tremendous gift from the federal government, although it's really a return of our taxes. It ends after this fiscal year, and that's the difficulty. I jokingly called it the ARPA hangover as we put this budget together. Now, for the current status of the major funds. General Fund 1, the fund balance is a little over $4.8 million, which is about $925,000 ahead of where we thought we'd be at this time. Expenditures are below budget by almost $650,000, which accounts for most of the improvement over budget. But unfortunately, a lot of those are due to our difficulty in maintaining our staffing levels and the like. And that seems to be one of our biggest challenges, especially at the two most visible departments in the city, which is the police and DPW. Neither one of these two were smiling as I'm saying this because they've been through the wars. The Water and Sewer Fund is sitting at a fund deficit of $415,000. It's a little higher than expected, but this is our lowest billing month for water and sewer. So in the last 6 months, this is where we always run closer below the break-even point, which is followed quickly by next month, which is one of the highest billing months, and we're back on track. The Marina Fund is sitting at a fund balance of $1.3 million. It's about $180,000 ahead of budget, and again, a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that we're just really getting started to the boating season, so there hasn't been a whole lot of spending. And that's really what's driving that, and I expect that the spending will increase, but the revenues are looking, the contracting of the slips looks very, very good and very promising for this boating year, so I'm very optimistic. And that's really the current status of the three major funds this evening, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Council, any questions for Mr. Doherty? Okay, fair enough. George, thank you so much. Thank you for the update. Yes, sir. That brings us to Mr. E.J. Malizer, the Director of Public Works. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council President, Council members, citizens. First, I'm going to talk about the B-City USA affiliation that was mentioned by the Green Team. Second, give project updates. Third, talk about Arbor Day on April 28th. Last week, we hosted the B-City USA affiliation. We had a gathering in the council room, and Ms. Carol Zimmerman gave a great presentation about how we can be mutually beneficial to each other by installing some new pollinator gardens. We hope that with some native plants, new nest sites, we can reduce some of the pesticides, help save the bees, clean the bay, and save tax dollars by cutting back on cutting some of the grass in strategic areas. So I think that's mutually beneficial. Next, I want to move on to the projects. I want to thank Councilmember Martin for doing an excellent job. It's never an easy deed to talk about water and sewer so fashionably as the council members did today. So thank you to them. Next, I want to talk about the National Guard pump station. That project's wrapping up. We're just waiting on a backup generator. Next, we're going over a few water leaks throughout the city. We have one on Congress and one on Gracecroft that we're knocking out. David Morell and crew will repair them as soon as possible. Contractors are working on Pennington Avenue to install new lighting, so that will be good. And to wrap up a short presentation, I mentioned April 22nd, my last report for Earth Day. Ms. Stephanie Noyd did an excellent job putting together an Arbor Day event, Mr. Mayor, and we'd like to invite you to join us.
I'll be there.
That's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, EJ. Appreciate it. Well
Appreciate
done. And that brings us to the Chief of Police.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just want to let everybody know that this coming Saturday, March the 25th, between the hours of 8 and 4, the Susquehanna Hose Company is going to be doing a control burning training exercise on Level Road between, like I said, between Canvasback and Seagull Drive. So please expect to see smoke and some fire visible in that area. The only thing we do ask is that if you are driving by, please do not stop to watch what's going on. Keep traffic flowing because we don't want any crashes in addition to watching a fire occur. So please keep that in mind. I believe also Mr. Gamatoria is having a Connect CTY sent out to everybody. The other thing I want to mention is that our new Apex virtual training system has arrived, and right now we're in the midst of getting everything assembled and scheduling our personnel because we do have mandated judgmental training that the officers have to go through. But once we get that done, I invite you, Mr. Mayor, and all the council to come through and try a couple of the virtual reality type training. I know you've been through it before. It's very, very interesting, and I think you would really enjoy it. And you would also get a better perspective of what law enforcement kind of has to go through. So, and I know I've mentioned previously that our road barricades, our new barricade system is in, and ourselves and DPW, we have training that's going to be set up to show us how to actually set the barricades up and remove them, move them around, that type of thing. And I'm actually looking forward to that because we'd like them up and running for the May 1st, first Friday. And that would be it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Chief. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for mentioning the control burn up there on 155. That was under my comments. I'm glad you mentioned that. So I got only a couple things to talk about here, and just want everybody to know that with receiving the Water and Sewer Commission report this evening, it's my goal to work with my directors, Mr. Doherty and Mr. Gamatoria, to get the budget ready for you guys by the next first meeting in April. So hopefully we should have everything ready to go, and you guys will receive your budget packets at the next council meeting. With that said, we've penciled in some work sessions. We have a council meeting on the 3rd and the 17th of April, the first and third Monday, but I've kind of penciled in Monday, April 10th at 6 o'clock and Monday, April 24th at 6 o'clock for council work sessions. So we don't have to.
It's Easter Monday.
April 10th and April 24th. So. You all right?
Actually, I have training on the 10th, 6 p.m.
Okay. You just won't make it then, wait.
Just won't make it.
Mr. Gamatory.
So if we change, those dates have been posted, so if we're going to change them, we'll need to,
Well,
it's fine, we can do whatever suits you.
Yeah, sure. This takes priority. It's for Eagle Scout mentor training for the boys, so I can take it some other time.
Working out. I wasn't looking for a commitment tonight. I was just letting everybody know that's what we scratched in as the dates. I mean, we could always change them, as Mr. Gamatory said. We just have to let the public know. So
no problem.
All right. Okay. Hey, Star Center stuff. Free concert, April 1st, 7 o'clock. And that's going to be the United States Air Force Rhythm and Blue Jazz Ensemble. Tickets are free, but you still need to go to Eventbrite to grab your tickets, or you can actually go to the door. There'll be some tickets set aside too. So we're looking forward to having the U.S. Air Force Rhythm and Blue Band at the Star Center April 1st at 7 o'clock for a free concert. And Star Center holds over 900 people, so the odds are good. You'll get a seat. Show up.
April 1st, no joke?
April 1st, it's not a joke. And a concert is going to come up, another one of the city-sponsored concert series. This one we've been waiting for a long time to bring into the city. It's a tribute band titled Yellow Brick Road. Does anybody want to guess who they cover?
Elton John.
Elton John.
Elton John. I was waiting for
It's
somebody to say
Yellow
Wizard of
Submarine.
Oz, but no. Elton John. Elton John, cover band. This guy is phenomenal. We've been waiting for a long time to bring this gentleman in here. It's going to be a great show. That's going to be Saturday, April 15th. Doors open at 7:30 at the Star Center. And tickets be anywhere between $39 and $65, depending on where you want to sit. So we hope everybody gets a chance to get out, enjoy the good weather in Havre de Grace, walk around the town, watch the flowers bloom, as today is the first day of spring. And please join us for the many events going on around town. And we'll see you at the Star Center. With that said, I look forward to working with the council on the budget, and that's all I got to say tonight. We're going to go to council comments, and start with Councilmember Boyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for everybody for being here and hanging in the crowd. Just wanted a couple of things. Street and traffic safety will be meeting on Monday, the 27th at 6 p.m. at the Colored School. And I'm going back here. So the Twinning will be having an event on Saturday the 1st at Market Street. There's a group of people who follow Swansea football from Baltimore, and they've heard about Havre de Grace and how we love our mumbles. So a group of them are coming up, and we're going to watch football together. I'm pretty sure soccer at Market Street at 10 a.m. on Saturday. So please feel free to come out and join in the festivities. It should be a lot of fun. And the other thing I wanted to, so last weekend, my husband and I went to Williamsburg, and I just love it down in Williamsburg. But we happened to come across probably one of the most exciting things in regards to history. And I'm a little bit of I love revolutionary history. So 250 years ago, on May the 12th, our nation's leaders agreed to a plan to communicate with King George about their displeasure with the many decisions that he was making, including the Stamp Act. And one could argue that this committee of correspondence was the conception of what would become the United States of America, and they commemorated it in Williamsburg with, George Washington was there, and Thomas Jefferson was there, and he spoke. And at the same time, representatives from across the United States came together to kick off officially the planning and I had to write this down, for the planning of the nation's semi-quincentennial, which will be the celebration of the 250 years of the United States in July of 2026. So that was pretty cool. It was just being there at Williamsburg when all this was happening. But what really inspired me was when Thomas was talking, and he was a reenactor, I recognize this.
That's not the real one, right?
Right, no. But he asked this question, he asked, to the crowd assembled, will we teach our children that we did not get it all right when we wrote it in 1776? Or 1778, or 1779, or 1865, or 1965? And will we get it right in 2023? And the crowd all together said, no, we're not going to get it all right. And then he ended it with, so we still have work to do, right? And everybody said, yes. And he said, well, then let's get to work. And that was just such a great juxtaposition of not only get to work as far as planning for the 250s, but thinking about everything that we do here. We're never going to get everything all right the first time we pass a piece of legislation. But if we recognize that and together cooperating, each respecting others' positions and coming together to create the best of what we can create at the time, that's really what our democracy is all about, that we are willing to continually evolve. So Thomas inspired me, and thank you all. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyer. Well done. Clues. Councilmember Zinner, good evening.
Well, the last time I was at Williamsburg, it was my wedding anniversary, honeymoon, my honeymoon, yeah. So anyhow, I don't have too much to say tonight, but I do want to thank everyone. I want to thank Dave Martin and Carol Zimmerman for their presentations, and then thank the council for approving the habitat lots and developing the ballot question, as well as approving the ordinance for the additional members of the Historic Preservation Commission. And that is about it for me tonight. After being so chatty, I've decided that I'll keep it short.
Good job tonight, Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you.
Good evening, Councilmember Shanegas.
Good evening, Mayor, administration, those of you in the audience here tonight and at home. It is great to be here this evening. I am so pleased to welcome Jamie Bennett to our Marina Commission. He will get welcomed to our first meeting, his first meeting, this coming Wednesday, April 5th at 4:30 in the council conference room. Also, in mention to celebrating 250 years, Harford County is doing likewise with celebrations in the community of Harford County with the kickoff March 31st, a Friday, as well as April 1st. There are events going on at the Harford Community College. And in addition to that, they have brought together a collection of stories from residents, 250 years worth of stories with 105 authors that have talked about history, people, events, and things happening in our community over the last 250 years. If interested, you can contact harford250.org to receive your copy, and I'm certain that they'll have copies available at these events, as well as it would be wonderful to see them have copies at the Printers Festival. So that would be something to look forward to or to look into. So with that said, I thank you all for this wonderful evening, and I wish you all a great first day of spring. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Shanegas. And business from the Council President.
Mr. Mayor, Council, as the Mayor stated earlier, I would like to recognize former Councilman Joe Smith, and earlier we had Gary Lytle here as well. Welcome back to the chambers. Councilwoman Boyer, I have not ever been down to Williamsburg. I'm always down to Virginia Beach. I need to go. But if I were there, in Philadelphia when the Constitution was written, I would, knowing the politicians I know, I would have them write everything like you're talking to a 5-year-old. Because some of the biggest issues is the interpretation of a lot of the stuff that's actually in there. They use a language that is not often used today. This past weekend, went camping with the scouts from Troop 965, and I did not get hypothermia, but I was afraid a tree was going to fall on me. It was really windy and miserable, so we're looking forward to good weather for that. And then came home and went right over to St. Joan of Arc to watch the crossover ceremony for the Cub Scouts from 802 to become Boy Scouts. When they turn 11, they can become Boy Scouts, so it's usually 5th grade, is it? It was really cool to see scouting still so active in our community. We have, I think, 4 troops now here in Havre de Grace. We have the 967G, which is the girls, 967B, which is the boys. I think it's 820 meets at the Legion now, and then 965 is level, so it's Havre de Grace. It's just nice to see scouting so active here in the community. So also, besides scouting, sporting events for the high school starting to kick off. The softball team the other day beat Elkton 11-5, so that's pretty good to see for their first game. And track starts this Wednesday at C. Milton Wright against C. Milton. I think it's Aberdeen and Havre de Grace. That's 3 o'clock. Baseball hasn't started yet. They did have a scrimmage. I didn't see the score, but that started as well. As the weather's getting ready to warm up, because it is spring, once again, I ask you to watch out for motorcycles. You're going to start seeing a lot more. Look both ways, save a life. I've been hit on my motorcycle before by a deer, and I couldn't imagine being hit by a car. So, like I said, just look both ways. Most vehicle-on-vehicle accidents involving a motorcycle it's usually the car driver's fault when they make a left-hand turn, is the high preponderance of the issues, because you're judging, what's coming over there where you're going to go into the lane, and you don't see that. You see the one headlight for the motorcycle, and so it's coming this way, and you're crossing right in front of it. The motorcycle is coming from the right, actually usually has a time to veer off to the side and avoid the accident. But motorcycle coming from the left especially, the people misjudge the distance, and they have quite a few accidents. Had a very, very dear friend of mine killed in a motorcycle accident just because of that, left-turning driver. So please just be careful, watch out for motorcycles. And that's all I really got to say, except for, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to go into a closed meeting. And I need to read this. Under the Open Meetings Act, General Provision, Article 3-305. Motion to go into closed session upon adjournment of the open session on Monday, March 20th, 2023, to consider the following matter. 1, to consult with legal counsel to obtain legal advice, and 2, to consult with staff, consultants, and other individuals about pending or potential litigation. This meeting will be closed under General Provisions Act, Section 3-305, B7 and B8. B7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, and B8, to consult with staff, consultants, and other individuals about pending or potential litigation. The reason for closing this meeting is consultations with the city attorney regarding advice and updates about pending litigation are entitled to confidentiality under the attorney-client privilege. The City Council will not resume open session after the closed session, and votes, if any, will be recorded in public at the council meeting on April 3rd.
Council, I have a motion by Council President. I have a second.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Shenegis. Motion to move into closed session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to move into closed session at the adjournment of this meeting carries 4-0 in the affirmative. Thank you very much, Council President. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, we're going to go to item 20, which is adjournment. Council, have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Boyer, second by Council President. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to adjourn carries 4-0 in the affirmative. The time is 9:07. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.